Alright, next one up is Daniel der Zauberer. This is one of those foreign movies, of which there are a number in the bottom 100 now, that I wasn't sure if I'd be able to watch or not. Because when a movie is bad enough to get into the bottom 100 in a foreign country, there is a high likelihood it's not going to get a Western distribution, which means no official dubbing track, no official subtitle track. Where the possibility of watching these movies comes in for me, as I don't speak many of these languages, is when there are fan subtitles to these movies. And I was able to watch a couple of them, like Turks in Space, Turkish Star Wars 2. I was able to watch because of fan subtitle, and this is another one, Daniel der Zauberer. And again, basically, this is why I started doing alumni at the bottom 100 and started new entries, is because I knew there would be a lot of them I wasn't going to be able to get to. But as I get a hold of them, I'll watch them again, and I'll keep doing these for however long that takes. But yeah, I was kind of, surprised to find this. So, Daniel der Zauberer is a movie by Uli Lummel. This is one of a number of movies he's had in the bottom 100 at one time or another. One of the ones I've reviewed of his is Zombie Nation, which is also really bad. Not as bad as this, though. Apparently, Uli Lummel came across this guy, and his name's like something like Daniel Kukenbach, something like that. I don't remember exactly how it's pronounced. Something with a K. He was one of the early winners of a German version of American Idol, basically, and gained a pretty significant popularity of basically tweens, more or less. And yeah, he's sort of that kind of figure for Germany. He's got a huge fan base, but a lot of people don't like him. He's a bit of an eccentric, I guess the closest, like, somewhere between, like, Jaden Smith and, like, Justin Bieber is a Western comparison, in that he has a big fan base and he's just kind of odd. But he's harmless. He's just, like, positive energy stuff or whatever. Who cares? But Uli Lummel was apparently impressed by this guy and wanted to do a movie around him. And at first glance, this looks like it's going to be like a concert documentary, but it is not. There is an original story here. Daniel plays himself, or a highly fictionalized version of himself that is training to be a wizard somehow, but is still a pop star and is still his actual name. He is famous and is trying to deal with his fame, but is also hallucinating conversations with his dead grandfather, who is a sometimes one-armed, sometimes two-armed German some sort of brass. I think it's a baritone or something. He's a musician, but also a magician, apparently. And it tells us that he's training to be a magician somehow, or like a wizard. It's never really shown that that's happening. But in any case, he has those conversations. That's one part of the plot. The other part of the plot is people hate him and love him. And there are specifically two people that hate him enough that they're trying to kill him, that are being led astray by somebody who's implied to be an enemy of his dead grandfather or something. Whatever. As the movie goes along, they try to kill him a few times and always fail. They kidnap him and then learn to love him because he's just so cool or something. You didn't like this movie either, did you? I didn't think so. Yeah, it's not a good movie by any sense. But yeah, the plot moves along until they become his best buddies because he's just so sweet. So that plot just sort of disappears, and then at the end he becomes a wizard. He gets a wand and everything for Christmas or something. But the vapid plot doesn't get into the beginning of why this movie is so bad. There are clips of just random things Daniel has done. Like, there are clips from when he was on a reality show that was like Fear Factor for Germany. There are clips of him playing with baby tigers just randomly thrown into this movie. The cinematography and just general camera work is so abysmal. It's like they're just wandering around with held camcorders for the whole thing, and it looks so amateurish and bad. All the quality, just everything is horrible here. And of course, you're dealing with a celebrity who's a non-actor, which is a whole nother problem. He's not nearly as bad as it could be, but this has a lot of sort of, honestly, this makes from Justin to Kelly look fantastic. By comparison. There's a lot of actual concert footage also in there. So it's like he really wanted to film as little as possible, as quick as possible to make this movie happen. So yeah, that's why you get all this archival footage and concert footage in this movie, and it's not good. Like I honestly have no idea why this guy's so popular, but apparently a lot of people were perplexed by that. But whatever, it's plot doesn't make sense. The writing is baffling. Uli Lommel actually cast himself as the sometimes one-armed, sometimes two-armed grandfather, and I actually like there's one line of dialogue where a character calls him out on the fact that one of his arms keeps disappearing and reappearing, to which he doesn't actually answer the question. I guess it's just because he's a wizard, or whatever. A ghost wizard. Oh, yeah. There's a few other characters wandering around this thing, like a girl that has a crush on Daniel, who has a grandfather that's not crazy about his music and then is changed because he goes to a concert and then loves it. Whatever. Yeah, whatever. It's been said before that this movie is utterly unwatchable for someone who isn't a fan of Daniel. And Daniel himself has actually come out since then saying this is probably the worst movie of all time. It is pretty much regarded as actually the worst German movie of all time, for sure. It spent a little bit of time as the bottom of the bottom 100 in the number one spot, but I think it's fallen out of the top 10 now. I think that part of that's just because people don't see this movie, because it only got a DVD release in Germany and Austria. It was barely in theaters in Germany. Never got Western distribution. I had to find a fan subtitle for this. Gotta thank one of my Twitter followers for giving me that. But yeah, I think this one lacks the exposure of a lot of other bad movies out there, so it's not usually regarded in the same echelon. But it's pretty goddamn bad. It's one of the worst ones on here for sure. But I don't know. It's just, I can't recommend it because there's not really anything fun about it. There's nothing to really enjoy in here. But it is kind of a spectacle of failure. And if you're interested in watching something by Uli Lommel, there's other stuff he's done that is available in the Western market, particularly Netflix. If you go to the horror section and go all the way down to the bottom until you find nothing else, there's probably like 5 or 6 of his. He's done a bunch of movies based on actual serial killers that are atrocious. And he also did Zombie Nation, which I reviewed earlier. The dude is a crime against cinema. He's like another like big step below Uwe Boll. He's that bad. So that's Daniel der Zauberer for you. If you dare, I guess. Daniel der Zauberer.
Wenn dein Schicksal totale Ablehnung ist und grenzenlose Bewunderung. Wenn die Liebe dein Leben verzaubert, aber der Hass dir Albträume bereitet.
Nie wieder Kübelböck.
Nie wieder.
Nie wieder Kübelböck.
Irgendwas muss doch schiefgegangen sein. Warum hassen mich denn alle?
Wenn Geister, Zauberer und Bösewichte deinen Weg begleiten. Wenn du vor nichts mehr sicher bist, außer Glauben und Zuversicht.
Und jetzt geh rauf und schlaf. Und träum was Schönes.
Dann ist der Moment gekommen, dein eigenes Licht im Dunkeln zu finden.
Ein Zauberer gibt oft das her, was er am meisten liebt. Und du willst doch ein Zauberer werden. Ein echter, großer Zauberer, nicht wahr?
Die Geschichte eines jungen Mannes, der auszog, das Fürchten zu lernen und mitten im Winter entdeckte, dass in ihm ein unbesiegbarer Sommer war.